All right, hello. My name's Jason. I use he/him pronouns. We are going to be playing session 2 of Mothership tonight. This game is part of the Gauntlet online gaming community. If you should be interested, you like what you see, you'd like to play with us maybe, check out gauntlet-rpg.com. We're going to play Mothership. It's a game from Tuesday Night Games. This scenario is called The Calling. I made it up myself. As I mentioned, this is our second session of 4. We're going to go around the table, and each PC will introduce themselves with their pronouns, their character with their pronouns, and their character's class, their title, which is like lieutenant, commissar, that kind of thing, and their role on the team. What you remember of your character's appearance briefly, and the 3 traits that we picked for your character, and any sort of personality or background that has kind of been shown so far in our first session. All right. So I think we started with the lieutenant last time, so we'll go down the sort of rank order. We'll go to the teamster. Robert, tell us about yourself and your character.
Yeah, so I'm Robert. I go by he/him pronouns. I am playing Anatoly Snacks Stepanov. He also uses he/him pronouns. His title is Comrade Specialist. And yeah, he's the teamster. The 3 attributes or personality traits that I chose for him last time is that he is a rookie, he is corrupt, and he's poor. So he's pretty fresh onto the core and not shy at all about breaking the rules a little bit to get ahead.
Okay. And let's go next to our scientist. Brad, tell us about our scientist.
My name is Brad. I use he/him pronouns, and I'm playing Svetlana Dyatlov, who uses she/her pronouns. She is a comrade doctor for the troop. Her traits that we picked were atheist, decadent, and rich. And she, while being undersized compared to the rest of the crew, makes up for it with a loud personality.
Okay. And let's talk about our commissar, our android, Josh.
Yes, so I am playing Commissar Kirill Grigorievich Baranovsky, who is a replicant created by the interior police or what have you to be a political officer in his outpost. He is a very devoted member of the party. His traits are that he is honest, he is a party member, and he is pure. I think ascetic might be a better word there. He looks straight off the propaganda poster. I mean, he was specifically created, so the party did have that ability. And yeah, that is, he uses he/him pronouns, as do I. I'm Josh. I don't know if I said that already.
Okay. I was looking forward to you saying your character name again, because you have that Russian lilt to the way you pronounce it that I cannot do. So I appreciate that. Let me practice your name. Kirill, is that right? Or say it one more.
Yes.
I got it. Kirill? Okay.
I speak a very small amount of Russian. So
all right. Let's finish up with Robbie.
All right. My name's Robbie. I go by he/him pronouns. I'm playing Vadim Znelkov. He/him pronouns. I am a Marine. My title is Lieutenant. My 3 traits are counter-revolutionary, veteran, and devout. I'm a kind of get it done type of guy. Imagine him being probably a little below average height and kind of stocky. I definitely show my veteran trait on my skin. I think you see a lot of scarring. Look like I'm probably older than I actually am. Um, and yeah, and I also not the smartest tack in the box, but I am, I have this kind of spiritual side to me that uh, I rely on. So, like when we leveled up last time, I took the mysticism trait, kind of building off of my theology and my devoutness.
Yeah, and I was going to ask you, you don't need to answer now, but start thinking about it when it comes up. Does your mysticism sort of, I think in this game, they describe it as mysticism.
Yeah, I was just looking at that. What it said. It says spiritual apprehension of hidden knowledge.
Right, right. So think about how you get that hidden knowledge. Is it like a vision? Is it a sense? Is it someone speaking to you? Is it a symbology of some sort, or you pick up something in the weather? I mean, it could be any of a million things. So I don't want you to answer now, but just kind of think of that. You know, if that time comes that you pick up that hidden knowledge using your mysticism, what form is that going to take? Let's talk a little bit about safety. So first of all, we have the open door. So if you guys need to or want to leave for any reason, go ahead. Hopefully you can come back, but no questions asked. Go ahead and do what you got to do. We are going to use the X card. So if you need anything is problematic for you, go ahead and throw that X card up there. Throw it up in the chat if you need to. And we're using lines and veils, and we have a handout for that, but I don't think we have anything on there right now. So far, everyone seems to be comfortable with whatever comes our way. Let me recap briefly, and if I miss anything important, you guys jump in and fill in. But our basic setting is a near future, relatively near future. It's the year 2183. You guys are residents of a nation in space called the UPP, the Union of Progressive Peoples. It's a Stalinist socialist republic. Imagine the 1920s to the 1940s in space, Russian, Soviet, Stalin era. You guys are soldiers. You're all soldiers, members of Alpha Squad. Your team is a recon team that is sent throughout this frontier system, checking on all the different planetoids and asteroids and planets that are in this system to make sure that there are no capitalists trying to infiltrate into UPP space. Your base is a place called the Zenoi Listening Post, which is sort of a base built into an asteroid. You began your adventure crash landing on a planet called Vasyugan, which is a jungle planet. You were sent there to find out what happened to a supply ship that is 1 week overdue. It did not check in like it was supposed to. And in addition, there's been no response to any hails to the planet itself. You know that there's a base on this planet called Lysenko Base. What kind of base it is, you don't really know, but you know that there is a base here on this planet. We established that Vasyugan is alien in the sense that it has warm colors rather than greens and browns. It's dominated, the foliage is dominated with yellows and oranges and reds, and you all should see on the screen a picture which I found on the web, which I think at least seems appropriately strange to me to capture what this place might look like. Our scientists, through talking with the head scientist, Komarov, I think his name is, was told about there being microorganisms on this planet that are in the air and especially in the water. And if you were to drink any of the water here, you probably would very quickly get sick, an illness that would start killing off your blood cells. You, Svetlana did also learn, though, that breathing it in is not nearly as damaging, or at least you have more time before it can overwhelm your immune system. The estimate was about 5 days. So after 5 days, you might start getting sick from these microorganisms. And they're visible. There's a red mist that's kind of seeps down into the undergrowth in this jungle. There's constant red mist throughout this jungle. There are flocks of very colorful birds that you see flying about, and there are insects, that range from very small insects up to rodent or rat-sized insects that you see crawling around, but they don't seem to be dangerous. They don't seem to show any interest in you guys whatsoever. You don't see any reptiles, no mammals, no amphibians, no fish. So your drop ship was called the Albatross, and Snacks was able to avoid one missile that came flying at it, but the second missile shot you guys down. You crash landed in the jungle. Snacks did a good job avoiding any major mishaps. So even though the drop ship was, trash, it's a wreck, none of you were damaged. Your equipment was okay. You guys geared up. You made your way through the jungle. You went past a very quiet, ominous pool where Svetlana took some samples from some of the multitude of dead insects and birds that were around this pool, and the birds were the animals were all were husks. They were dried out, mummified. And then you guys marched a little bit farther and you sat down for camp. And I think that's where we left off. So Josh is working on leveling up. If you have any questions about that, Josh, feel free to jump in. But go ahead and finish that up as you go. There is a handout on Roll20 called Level Up, which should tell you.
I've already.
Cool. And just remember, on your character sheet, there's a spot for level. Just change that from 0 to 1.
All right.
And otherwise, let me just look at your sheet real quick, make sure it looks like you got it all fine. The whole thing, yeah, you look at UK, you took resolve. I assume, did you raise your stats or did you raise your saves? Looks like your stats. Okay.
Yeah.
And you took a couple new skills, or you spent a couple skills. Okay. So you should be all.
I took firearms.
All right. Yeah, that's a good one. Let's start with you guys got to camp, and I had said that Svetlana, once you got to camp, you were going to be able to check your, what do they call it, a med scanner, and use that to check out those DNA samples that you took from the dead animals. Tell me, what is it you're trying to find out, or what information would be most useful or interesting to you?
I think the very first thing that Svetlana is looking for is to make sure that it's safe to be humping around the samples and safe for us to be around the husks, if she can check that out.
Okay, so let's roll on that. So that definitely sounds like a pathology. I think you had pathology, is that right?
Yep,
so what you're going to make an intellect check. You're going to make it at advantage because you have this tool, and you're going to roll on, what is that, an expert level skill? So you're going to roll on plus 15, I think.
Okay.
All right, great. You got 2 successes. Is your intellect 60 now?
Yes.
You're a smart lady. Got regular successes, so we can certainly answer that. No, there doesn't seem to be any disease in these samples. Cause of death, I'll tell you that much, I think, is loss of fluids. These things are dried out. That seems to have killed them.
Okay.
Do you have a follow-up? Maybe I can give you a little more if you have something along the lines of what you found already.
Can we check the frontal cortex of these as well to see if they're consistent with what Komarov showed me?
Sure. You see that these animals have a slightly larger auditory cortex than you would expect, but it is in the right spot of the brain. It's in the posterior part of the brain rather than the frontal part of the brain.
Okay.
Which is more in line with standard physiology of creatures throughout the universe as you understand it.
Okay, great.
Okay, so everybody else is kind of settling down for the night to setting up your tents, warming up your MREs, drinking a little bit of water, making a fire. And as I mentioned, I was going to have one of you guys bring something up for discussion as the four of you sit down around your fire. Anybody want to volunteer, or should I pick somebody? And I had a handout which kind of had some ideas of things you might want to bring up or could bring up. I think I'm going to roll a die then. So I'm going to roll a D4. And we'll go down sort of the character sheet order. So that would be Vadim, Snacks, Svetlana, and then Kirill. Okay. And those of you that don't get selected right now, keep thinking about it because it's likely your turn will come later. So I got a 4. So Kirill, you bring up something around the fire. What do you want to talk about?
All right. Yeah, so I think, the fire is crackling in the night on this alien world. And Kirill has his ration out in front of him, whatever it is, and he's, sort of prodding at it. And he looks at the other people, and I think there's probably not very much conversation happening. So it's sort of silent, and he looks up and he says, "Comrades, it is important to me that we remember that the greatest thing that a man can do is die for the people."
Well,
The
I
reason we
don't plan on
joined
dying.
the Union of Progressive Peoples, the reason we serve the Union of Progressive Peoples is to progress the people. It is not for you, it is not for me, it is not for our captain, it is for the people. And if what serves the people best is for us to die here, then that is what will happen. It is something that I think we must accept. I do not want to die. You should not want to die. If your service better continues with your life, then that is what it is. But if this is the end of things, we must be comfortable. We must accept that this is our fate now. I say we do what we can. We try to escape, we try to continue serving, but if it is impossible, if, as you say, in 5 days we will start to die anyway, if we have not found a way off of this planet by then perhaps there is something we might still be able to do for the Union on the planet. Perhaps there is lost cargo on the planet. Perhaps there is something here that it would be useful, that we could give our lives for a reason instead of struggling and dying without being of service, you know?
Yeah, Vadim, I think will, after listening to this, will speak up and say, well, I've certainly seen a lot of death, plenty of death, and from what I've seen, it's not a pleasant thing. Certainly not anything that I'm looking for. And you saw those dead husks around that pool. I don't think there was anything glorious in their deaths. I mean, that, you know, that almost those dead husks for me almost seem symbolic of you know, why we ought to just continue to struggle and avoid that kind of meaningless, futile waste. I'm certainly not looking to die today or tomorrow or on this planet for that matter.
And if the way you best serve is to live, then that is the way you best serve. I hope it is the way we all best serve. But the fact of the matter is that I know people who have given their lives for the people. I have friends who have died for the united progressive peoples. Now, I am as much of a person as you, all right? I feel hungry, I feel tired, but the fact of the matter is, the reason that we are here today, the reason that we were at Xenoi listening station, the reason why we wear our uniforms is because we have agreed to serve. And we must serve. We cannot stop serving because we want to protect ourselves. We cannot stop serving because we want to protect this little thing, this individual life. No. What if there is something on this planet, something that we must serve, some way that perhaps we do not survive? I am not saying that we should try to die, of course not. There is much that we could do for the people. But if something on this planet is more important than the four of us sitting around this fire surviving, which, to be perfectly honest, in the grand scheme of things, is perhaps likely. It is not good, but it is perhaps likely. It is something that I am comfortable with. I do not see why you cannot be so comfortable with it.
Yeah, and I guess Vadim replies that, you know, okay, you talk about serving. The person who I serve most immediately is Colonel Sergei Pasternak. And I know the Colonel. Yes, I serve him. But people who are put in charge of others and who have others serving them, they're not always worthy. Sometimes people get into those types of positions who are, well, let's just say that they rise to their level of ineptitude.
Comrade, I hope that you are not saying something negative about Comrade Pasternak. That is, I mean, obviously, I do not want to say anything about your leanings, sir, but of course, Colonel Pasternak is a superior officer to you, and it would be imprudent for you to disrespect him, even in advanced circumstances such as this. Do you know why we have these shotguns? It is not to fight a glorious war. No, it is to protect the people. Because should I be captured by a corporation, a capitalist, which does not seem very likely right now, but should it happen, should I have been deployed closer to the core, I would have used this gun to blow my brains out, because that would be service. That would be how I best serve. It would be as a corpse, not as a living man. It is a fact of life. Sometimes what you need is a body, nothing else.
And that seems like a gloomy enough spot to go scene on that one. That's great. Let's you guys go to rest then. You waken up the next day. So we move into your second day of your journey. First things first, those of you that are eating, go ahead and remove an MRE from your equipment list. If you're not eating, tell me so, because after a day of not eating, the next day you're going to suffer some negative effects. But I'll assume everyone's eating. Everybody remove a liter of water, except for our scientist and the commissar that both have that hazard suit that only use 1/4 of a liter instead. And you guys pack up and you continue your journey through the jungle. Let me get back to the map here for you. So you guys are a little past where it says Jungle Pool, put you right about there. And you're continuing on your way towards Lysenko Station, and you know the supply ship is kind of on the way, and Lysenko Station's up at the top of the map. So today, unless you tell me otherwise, I'm assuming you're following the river, making your way to the lake where the supply ship is. Your first day, I think Svetlana was leading the way with her geological knowledge, kind of guiding you where to go in this jungle to make best progress. And I believe Snacks was using his, what do they call it, vibachete to cut away through the undergrowth. If you guys do that again, what you're going to do, Svetlana, is you're going to make, I think it was intellect. Let me double check.
I think that's what we did too.
Yeah. So you're going to make an intellect check. Since you have assistance, you're going to roll with advantage. So you make 2 checks. And your military training applies here. You're all trained in navigating. So you're going to roll on the +10
Okay.
twice. Take the best result.
1 success.
Okay. Yes. All right, great. As you guys are going through the forest today, or through the jungle, you each find yourself, thinking about someone that you love, someone you miss, or someone you feel affection for. I want you to think about who that person is for your character. Someone that captivates them, that you're drawn to. Okay? Think about that. And what I want each of you to do is I want you to each to make a sanity save. So on your sheet under saves, it has sanity. You just click that button and let's see what happens. All right, so Svetlana, the scientist, misses it. So you gain a point of stress. Who else missed? Kirill, you missed it. So you gain a point of stress. The other 2 made it. Who missed it by the most? Looks like Svetlana missed it big time. All right, so one of the classes, I forget which one it is, has a thing where if they miss a sanity save, it causes everybody else to gain a point of stress. Does anyone remember if it was them that had that? Let's see. The android, you make fear saves at disadvantage. Is it the scientist? Whenever
It
a
is the scientist. Yeah.
Whenever a scientist fails a sanity save, every friendly player nearby gains a point of stress. So Svetlana, you missed it. So the fact that you're not taking this well, I'll tell you more about what happens, but the fact that you're not taking this well affects everyone else. So all of you guys gain a point of stress. You don't gain another one, Brad.
Okay.
You just keep the one you already got, but everybody else gains a point of stress because Svetlana is not handling it. So Svetlana, I want you're going to be the one to tell me about this loved one, this person you're captivated by.
So Svetlana is missing her big sister, who was the first comrade doctor of the family, and really inspired her to take the path that she went down.
And how does what's your big sister's name?
Her name is Vienna.
How do you spell that?
Like the city, Vienna.
Okay. And how did what's the how does Vienna treat you that you really like, that really draws you to her?
She entertains my mental flights of fancy, I think, and is willing to answer questions and be a sounding board for like some of the big ideas that Svetlana had before she as she progressed as a scientist.
Okay. So see, she's someone that you feel like you can really open your mind to, really let your intellect out, all the kind of stuff that other people might think, oh, that's weird, or you're an egghead, or, whatever, with her, you feel comfortable to let your natural intelligence come through. Is that kind of what you're saying?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. And what is something your sister could do or has done to you that really would hurt or has hurt?
I think that she was against me taking this position for this mission because she didn't think that I was ready yet. And so I think that I'm kind of dealing with the discrepancy there between her being the person that supported me the most, but also knowing that she may have been kind of right in trying to steer me away from this mission.
Okay. So her lack of confidence has kind of rocked your confidence at your core. Okay. So as you guys are walking along, you'll find yourself thinking a lot about Vienna this day. You're following Snacks as he, hacks his way through this foliage, and you find yourself dwelling on her, missing her, wanting to be with her. And Vadim, you're trudging along behind them, and you suddenly see Svetlana, instead of following Snacks, she just starts walking into the water. She just starts walking directly into the river, gets up to her waist before, you can react. What do you do?
Well, I yell, Svetlana, what are you doing? And I don't think I'm trundling into the river after her, but I'm looking around for some gear to see if I need to kind of throw her a line or reach out to her. I think I have a paddle if she was really close. Yeah, and I also yell at my companions and say, nobody go into the river, but Svetlana seems to have lost her mind.
Now, Svetlana, you do snap out of it quickly, and you hear the lieutenant, telling you, "What the hell are you doing?" And you find yourself standing in the river, and you had no idea. You were just talking in your mind to your sister. You were going back to the day when you had told her that you were joining the frontier space operating forces on the frontier, and her reaction, and that fades away. That those images and those memories, and you find yourself back, with the other three looking at you strangely. Yeah.
Svetlana is just going to try to get her bearings, I think, and say, "I'm sorry, comrades. I think that I just kind of was a little dazed there." And she's going to try to slowly walk back out of the river.
Yeah.
Maybe raising her hands up above the water so as to get as much out of the water as possible.
Right. And that's kind of, that explains, why all of you gain that point of stress, because seeing you also all are finding your minds wandering back to your person, and to know that the scientist is sort of so distracted by something that you yourself are feeling also, kind of, the music builds and you build up a little stress. And you guys continue marching, and you make good progress. So you do make it to the spot on the map here called the cliff, and you look down. Let me move you to the right spot. You look down this cliff. It's not a super high cliff, but it's rough, it's overgrown, and there's a waterfall there where the river pours down into this lake. And you see, probably a good 5 to 10 kilometers out along the lake, you see the crashed spaceship, the crashed supply ship, which should be on your screen now. So, you reached the end of your day, but you know that come tomorrow, you're going to need to get down this cliff, and you're going to have to make your way through along the lakeshore out to the supply ship. And the, what was I going to say? Let me make sure there's not anything else I need to show you here right now. No. So, seeing this, Kirill, you think back to your interview with the regional chief commissar, David Petrovich, and let us go back to that moment before you left Zenoy, when you talked to him.
Of course.
Regional Chief Commissar David Petrovich. This is your first meeting with Regional Chief Commissar David Petrovich. Why has the company sent such a high-ranking commissar to this miserable little place? He hasn't been here long and has shown no interest in fraternizing with the garrison. He has thrown several no-goodniks in the brig for insubordination and failure to properly toe the party line. Black Market Zoya claims that she avoided the brig, but it cost her a hefty pile of rubles. You walk into a plain office with a large portrait of the glorious leader on the wall behind the regional chief commissar's desk. He, similarly to you, he's a unearthly, handsome, clean-cut man. As you know, all commissars are replicants. He stands. He's in an impeccable, clean uniform, and he pulls out a cigar box or a cigar case, which is gold plated, very expensive. It's got a UPP star, red star, emblazoned on the front of it. He pulls it open. He offers you a cigarette. These cigarettes are red band or like top of the line party member type thing. He offers you a cigarette. Do you take a cigarette?
Kirill does not. No.
Oh, okay. And he also goes and he pours himself a glass of cognac, again, red label, exclusive to the party. He gestures at a glass, offering to pour you a glass. Would you like a glass of cognac?
Do you have water?
He smiles and he reaches over to another pitcher and he pours you some water. He gestures for you to sit across from his seat at his desk, and he sits down. He pulls out a file. It has your name on the front of it. He, without expression or words, he opens it up and starts to leaf through it, and he says, I see here that you have been in the service as a commissar for some time now. How many months or years have you been in service to the Space Operating Forces?
Out of character, I guess, what is the average working span of?
Well, you're not a rookie. You're not a rookie, and you're not a veteran. So really, it's up to you. You tell me. I mean, I think Robert kind of established that his rookie is very fresh, and Vadim sounds like he's been through years of service. What would you say Kirill might have? How long is his record? Would you say?
Yeah, probably a decent, like a good few years, I would say.
Yeah, I think
maybe like a year in the political office and then becoming an actual commissar in the field.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that sounds reasonable. He says, good. I hate to deal with rookies, especially on a mission of this importance. He says, oh, good. I see you've also you've joined the party. Tell me, why did you decide to go ahead and join the party? What led to your decision?
Well, I was blessed with the gift of being able to serve the people, and as a simple fact, the party exists to serve the people. And I thought that it would be remiss of me, especially with my unique position as a political officer, to not do everything I can in service to the Union of Progressive Peoples, and I thought that joining the party would better serve,
He has a sly smile on his face, and he says, you're telling me that you feel that you should serve the normals? Fascinating. I don't usually hear that from commissars. And you know that normals is sort of a derogatory term that the replicants use for humans? He says,
every citizen of the Union of Progressive Peoples is afforded the same rights under the law, is afforded the same rights. One of the reasons why we seceded from the corporations is because they were treating us unequally. I am just as alive as any man who was born, and they are just as alive as I am. We must all serve equally. No?
He sits back. He doesn't answer. And he says, have you found any opportunities here to gain any resources from the normals, to acquire Are there any riches here on the base or in this system that we could use for the better of the service?
In my time here, I have not noticed an abundance. This is a quieter area of our space, sir. And it is a small station. The people here stay quiet for the most part. To be frank, sir, it is a very remote part of space that you have come to. We do not have the sort of exciting finds of minerals and of sedition that occurs in the more populated sectors.
Commissar Kirill, if you should come across anything of great value, it is my advice to you that you liberate it from the normals. It is only fair that we exceptionals gather the limited resources of the UPP so we can best use it for, as you say, the people. That's my advice to you. It's my intention while I'm here to gather as many of these resources as I can to take back to the capital with me when I go. He looks more through your report and he says, I see that it has been some time since you had a political hygiene test. I believe we need to do that now. And he gestures over. There's a table kind of set against the wall behind you. And on it is a machine that you recognize, the political hygiene test machine. And what it is you sit across from him, and a retinal scanner will come up and lock in on your pupils, and you will be asked a series of questions. You know that you need to respond quickly with yes or no answers. Does that make sense? You following me? Okay.
Right.
So he says, please sit down. And he pushes the button, and the scanner comes up, and it a little beam, locks in on your pupils. And he says, as I'm sure you need to remain still. You need to respond quickly, honestly, with yes or no responses. Are you ready to begin?
Yes, Chief Commissar.
Let us begin then. Is there anything in your body that wants to resist the system?
No.
Do you get pleasure out of being a part of the system?
Yes.
Is there security in being a part of the system?
Yes.
Have you ever been in an institution?
No.
When you're not performing your duties, do they keep you in a little box?
No.
Good. Interlinked. Let us continue. Do you long to hold the hand of someone you love?
No.
Do they teach you how to feel finger to finger?
No.
Have they left a place for you where you can dream?
No.
Do you feel that's a part of you that's missing?
No.
Do you like to connect to things?
Yes.
Interlinked. Let us continue. Have they let you feel heartbreak?
No.
Did you buy a present for the person you love?
Yes.
Has anyone ever locked you out of a room?
Yes.
Do you have a heart?
Yes.
Have you been to the source of a river?
No.
He pauses. He links his hand. He peeks his fingers. He thinks. Interlinked. Very well. You have passed with flying colors, Commissar. Please, let's return to the desk. He lights another cigarette, pours you some more water. He says, let me tell you about your mission. It is important that you understand that there are some sensitive materials on board the supply ship. I cannot tell you more right now, but you need to destroy that ship and what evidence and materials are on board. Do you understand, Commissar?
I understand.
In addition, you can go ahead now and make an intellect roll to see if he gives you any additional intelligence. He likes what you had to say, so you can make your intellect roll at advantage. So you're going to make a straight up intellect roll twice, take the best result. Both failures, unfortunately. Let me do some maths. Okay. He tells you there is a nearby station called Lysenko Station to where you're going. And or on Vasugan, there is a station called Lysenko. There is a station called Lysenko Station, and it is not known to the normals or the other soldiers, but this is a secret lab focused on genetics research. I don't have details on what kind of research they're doing, but I thought you should know in case you should need to go there. The station is under command of a General Yuri Sokolov. General Sokolov is a diehard communist. He has nothing but hate for the capitalist and is completely loyal to our system. But he's not the smartest. Keep that in mind in case you should have to engage with him. Very well, Commissar. Good luck. And you return now back to standing looking at the supply ship down below in the lake. And it is time now to go ahead and make camp. So you guys are at the end of your march. You find a spot along near where the waterfall is, and you make camp again. So again, I'm going to ask one of you about what you bring up around the fire. You also will have a chance to rest. None of you have taken damage, but you'll have another chance to remove stress. So let me, unless anybody wants to jump in on the fire, I'll roll that D3 again to see whose turn it is. And it's number one, who did I start with? I think it was you, Robbie. So Vadim, you're going to be bringing up something around the fire, but to give you a minute or two to think about what you want to talk about, let's have everybody go ahead and see how their rest is on this day. So what you do is you have, I think it's a fear save. You're going to make a fear save to see if you remove stress. But before we roll, you guys have a couple skills that apply here. Vadim, the previous day you had used your theology to help calm down snacks, and you can certainly try to use your theology to calm someone else if you want to. And I think, Svetlana, did you take psychology? So you can do the similar thing. You can use that to try to therapize someone also. Okay. So let me start with, let's start with Svetlana. So do you want to use your psychology knowledge to try to calm down anybody? And how do you do it?
I think Svetlana would maybe approach Kirill to try to have a conversation. I think that she would maybe start by picking up the conversation that we had around the fire last night, but do it in a jokey way, kind of saying, Kirill, if there is not a way off this moon and a martini waiting for us back at Zenoi, I am going to be pretty frustrated. And then she's maybe just going to see if Creel reacts to that, or if he's willing to kind of open up and talk about some of the things that are stressing him out while we're here.
Yeah, Kirill, would that calm you at all, or would it require more conversation, would you say?
I think Kirill probably would be willing to, sort of enter into a conversation to distract himself. I think, yeah, probably if someone, were talking to him, it would help out.
Sure. Okay, so we'll keep that in mind. So you're going to roll with advantage when we do that in a second. So, Vadim, how do you use your theology, and who do you try to calm with it?
Well, I think seeing maybe that conversation, I think Vadim goes over to Snacks and, is talking about the progress that we've made. Also, I think Vadim is saying, that this no doubt is in some respects a hostile world, but today, for the most part, seemed pretty calm. So it seems as though there's something looking out for us. I've certainly have been in worse situations and was actually even expecting worse today, but the signs are hopeful, and we've actually surprisingly made visual contact with the downed ship. So I'm thinking tomorrow, we make it on that ship and see what's going on, and we may find a way to kind of communicate on that ship.
Would that resonate with you, Snacks?
Yeah, I think so. 'Cause, like the message is very much grounded in reality, but then still with that, maybe there is something watching out for us. I think that's very good.
Okay. You with us, Josh?
Yeah.
Okay.
Not there for a moment.
So we're going to go ahead and each of you can make a fear save to try to reduce your stress. If your stress is already at 0, which it might be for some of you, then you can skip this. You don't need it. You don't have to roll this. But otherwise, if you're looking to reduce your stress, go ahead and make that fear save. And who was it? Snacks and Kirill can roll at advantage. So let's see. Everybody except for Vadim succeeded. So Vadim, you gain a point of stress, like we said last time. If you rest and you don't feel better, it's a little bit upsetting. So you gain a point of stress in the morning. Everybody else succeeded. The thing is you need to succeed by 10 points to lose a point of stress, and Kirill did. Kirill, you made it by 21 points. So for every 10 points rounded down that you succeed by, you reduce your stress by 1 point. So you succeeded by 21, so you get to remove 2 points of stress. I'm just looking, did anybody get a critical? No critical success. So unfortunately, all those other successes aren't quite good enough to reduce stress. Everybody follow that math? Okay. So Vadim, your sleep is very poor. You have vivid dreams about your loved one. Tell me about your loved one and why these dreams are upsetting. Who is this person? What is it about them that you love, care for? What draws you to them? What's captivating about them? And why is this dream upsetting?
Okay, so my loved one is a woman named Leta Ventok, and she's my girlfriend. We've actually talked about the possibility of getting married, but she's also a Marine, and we don't get to see each other very much because we're always seem to be put on, missions and stationed at places where we seldom are together. Um, and I guess it's probably not uncommon that, especially when things get more stressful, that I kind of think about, we have dreams of. I think, am I bugging out on you when I?
Your audio's fine. Your video, like it's lagging, but it's fine. I can hear you just fine. Does anybody else have the same or different experience of Robbie?
Okay.
We lost Josh again, but here he is back.
Hopefully this time for good.
Okay, good. Keep going, Robbie. I'll tell you if it's like bad, but as of now, it seems to work.
Yeah, but I mean, I guess that I'm, I sometimes when I'm on a dangerous mission or things getting stressful, I sometimes have these fears that something's going to happen to me, something's going to happen to her that will abruptly put an end to our dream of at some point being.
Being together and being able to finally, settle down together. Can you hear me, Robbie?
I can hear you now, but it keeps kind of coming in and out.
Why don't you drop and then come back? You want to try that?
Yeah, I'll try that.
Is anybody else having any problems with hearing me or seeing me or anything like that? Okay.
I was saying the same thing with Robbie that you were.
Yeah, it was like a weird lag, and then when he spoke, it was okay, but it seemed to be like he wouldn't hear us, or we couldn't hear him until later. All right, Robbie.
Okay.
Okay, so I was just going to say, so your fear is that something would happen to one of you, that your dream of finally retiring and being together would be dashed. Is that kind of what your fear is?
Yeah, and I've certainly been on enough missions to know how quickly things can turn south.
Sure.
And we had a pretty good day today, but I'm kind of thinking about looking out at that ship out there, and there's uncertainty out there, right? I mean, that it was downed. We don't know what went on. And so I'm certainly on the alert. And then also with what happened to Svetlana, where it seems like part of my company is not necessarily holding up as well as I would like.
Sure. Is Lata stationed at Zenoy with you, or is she stationed somewhere else?
I don't think she's at Zenoy, but I think she's relatively close.
Okay. And which of her fine qualities draws you to her the most?
I think it's her toughness.
Okay.
I mean, her persistence and her toughness, which she demonstrates both as a soldier, but also in our relationship, right? That she's kind of, I mean, she's been through the meat grinder as I have, but I think we're both kind of rare in terms of like the length of our service and we've both been through some, hellacious missions.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think it's that quality, and I think just kind of our personalities are pretty compatible.
Right. She sounds like the kind of woman that if you showed any fear or worry about her, she would just kind of punch you in the gut or something and tell you, tell you to shut up.
Right.
And what is it she could do or has done that would hurt you the most?
What could she do to hurt me the most? Well, I think, given the line of work that we're in, that that she would possibly, because she's kind of often in kind of positions where she's in charge of a squad, and that if she got into a bad situation where she thought, a squad member, especially a kind of rookie, was, in need for her to do something dangerous to get them out of trouble, she would do it and lose her life or something like that, or just kind of do something crazy to kind of save one of her people in her squad that would kind of kill her or kind of get her, injured severely.
You're saying that if she were killed or severely injured, that would hurt you the most.
Yeah, especially if it was a situation where, it was where I felt like it was a meaningless, reckless kind of death that she could have avoided.
Okay. And this might be a good time, these dreams you're having. When I asked you in the beginning, what form does your mysticism take, or how do you perceive unknown knowledge, or however the game describes it? What did you come up with on that?
I think it is. I do think I've cultivated a kind of secret meditation practice, and an ability to kind of enter a trance state. And I don't think it's something that, right, like it would be something like at a camp or something like that where I could access it. I mean, it's not like it comes to me. I mean, it requires some kind of concentration, some type of mantra that I repeat to myself, that allows me to kind of access some knowledge.
And when you do access it, how does it come to you?
I think it comes to me in visionary flashes. It's just like pictures that kind of will appear to me.
Okay, that sounds cool. So I want you to go ahead and roll your mysticism then, and that's going to be an intellect check with the what's mysticism, plus 15?
Yes.
Expert level. So click on that plus 15 button. Okay, so you got a success. So you have this upsetting dream of Lata Ventok, and it starts out pleasant, and you're together, you know, and you see her turn to you in the dream, and she says, "Stay out of the water," and then you wake up. Okay.
Okay.
So morning comes, day 3. And again, go ahead and remove an MRE, everybody, and a liter of water or a quarter liter if you're one of the lucky ones with the hazard suits. So you find yourself, you break camp, and one of you guys, I'll roll randomly. It's Vadim. So Vadim, you wake up from this dream and you start hacking, and you hack up this thick, gross mucus. And for the first hour or so of the morning, you're like coughing up this stuff. You're not sick, but this is just sort of foreshadowing that illness is coming, So you're fine, but, you can tell that, maybe, if Svetlana checks you out, you've got a very low grade fever, the signs of a potential illness coming, but not yet. Okay. So you guys are at the top of this waterfall, and there's a cliff. The picture, if you can see it, is kind of shows it's probably, I think I forget what I said before, but it's probably a good 15-meter high cliff. It's pretty steep. It's got a lot of foliage and stuff growing into the side of it, and you certainly could try to rappel or climb down it. You also could go around. You could probably go like around the side of where the cliff is, as it gradually, goes down to the water level. It would take you more time, though. So the question I have for you guys are, do you want to try to get down the cliff, quickly, trying to be safe, or do you want to go around the cliff and not deal with climbing? I'll put it on Vadim, since you're in command here.
Yeah, and the ship, it's out in the lake. You said about.
You're going to have to walk along the shore for probably at least a day to get there through this thick brush along this lake. So once you get down to the bottom of the cliff, you've got a good day's worth of marching. In mechanical terms, if you go around the cliff and you just take the safe route, you're going to roll at disadvantage on your navigation check. So there's a chance that you'll be slowed down. So you're going to go. You're more likely to get there quickly if you just try to get down this cliff. But if you want to play it safe, you certainly can. You're just more likely to need more time to get there.
Out of curiosity, would the raft and oars that we have from the cargo shuttle, would that allow us to get to the supply ship any quicker if we were sailing?
Yeah, definitely. Once you get down there, sure, that would allow you to roll at advantage.
Yeah, I think Vadim, you see him kind of looking. I think Vadim, if he was here by himself, there's no question he would rappel down the cliff. I think he looks at his companions though, and Vadim says, we'll walk around the cliff. And I look down at the water too, and I say we know we know the water is dangerous, and I don't think we need to put ourselves at any more risk than what we need to.
Okay. No disagreements. So you guys break into the jungle, working your way along this cliffside to get down below to the lake shore and make your way. Do you want to break out the raft and use the raft to kind of paddle your way to the supply ship, kind of hugging the shore that way? Or do you want to trudge through the jungle once you get down below?
Kirill would be a proponent of the raft, I think.
Comrade Lieutenant, what do you think?
And all four of us would fit on the raft comfortably. It would be.
Yeah. Yeah, it'd be, like if you've gone whitewater rafting before, and you sit on a raft and, you throw your gear in the middle and you kind of like sit on the edge and you paddle and whatnot. You should be okay.
I'm also just looking to see if the scientist Svetlana, do you have any gear to kind of do any scans of the water?
I have a bioscanner that would tell us if there's any life in the water, or the cybernetic diagnostic scan if you're worried about something like that.
No, if you could do a bioscan of where we are in the lake to see if anything shows up.
Yeah, let me check that description quick. That's has a 100-meter radius, not blocked by metals, and it can tell the location of signs of life, but not what life is. Are we close enough to the lake already to make that effective?
Yeah, yes. So yeah, I think that makes sense. And there's certainly, the river is right beside you, so the river goes along, it goes down off a waterfall into the lake. But yeah, you probably, from where you're standing on, on the edge up above, you probably could pull out your scanner. So go ahead and make a intellect check at advantage for your scanner. Do you have any sort of, I think you have biology that would fit. Do you have anything better than that might fit here? I don't think pathology would, psychology would not. So I think rolling twice on +10 is what you're doing.
Okay.
So you got a couple successes. So there are, let's see. I'm gonna rule that it doesn't pick up tiny things, that it's gonna pick up things about rodent sized or larger. Okay. So you pick up in the river and even the waterfall, there's lots of little animals in the river, in the forest around you too. Nothing that it doesn't say about size or anything, does it?
No.
Okay. So there's signs of life in the river, in the forest around you, the jungle around you, in the sky, the birds flying over. But the lake is dead. There's nothing in the lake. Maybe right around where the waterfall goes down in the lake, there's a little bit of life, but out in, as far as you can see from where you're at, which is probably a good bit, 100 meters is quite a bit. You probably can see out 50 meters or so into the lake from where you're at. There's, other than the little bit around where the water goes from the waterfall down into the lake, there's nothing. It's dead.
I don't know if that's more comforting or less comforting.
The latter. I think Svetlana thinks it's the latter.
And I think that's a good point. Svetlana, I'd like you to make a sanity save for me, because that doesn't make any sense. the sense that it does make is not as upsetting.
Oh my.
And of course you missed it. Great. So you gain a point of stress, and everybody around you gain. That's the one where everybody around you gains stress too. So you guys all see Svetlana kind of a bead of sweat goes down her face as she reads this, and you each gain a point of stress also. Okay. Seeing her not being able to understand or explain this. And that's really what a sanity save is, trying to explain away things that don't make any sense, that are illogical or insane. Fear, in comparison, is emotional turmoil, right? Okay, so that's what you get from that. So back to the other question, though. So you're going to follow through. You're going to go. You're not going to go down the cliff. You're going to go around it. And when you do get down to the bottom, are you going to progress along the shore, or do you want to jump in your raft and paddle along to where the ship is?
Vadim, when after Svetlana reports, and also kind of seeing Svetlana shaken by the results of that scan on the river, on the lake, Vadim's gonna, say, we'll take the safe way down, and I think we'll stay on land and work our way along the shore to get close to the ship.
Okay. So you still have advantage because your same setup where Svetlana's guiding you guys, and Snacks is, especially the undergrowth is really thick along this cliff. So your Vibasheti is really coming in useful to kind of hack a path through here. So you get advantage there, but then you got disadvantage because you're going the long route. So those cancel each other out. So you're just going to roll one roll with your intellect, Svetlana, using your military training. So you're rolling on that plus 10. Critical failure. Okay. So as I mentioned, this undergrowth is real thick. Vines and fallen trees, thick red bushes and thorn bushes. It's really it's gnarly going through here. And Svetlana, you're like, the ground is descending here, but it's very muddy. So let's stick over to this side here a little bit. And you say, Snacks, go forward here. Unfortunately, you misread it. It's real muddy where Snacks goes too. So Snacks and you both go sliding down this mudslide down through these vines. It's pretty steep, and thump, you hit the bottom, probably a good 10, 15 meters down. You're both going to take a little bit of damage here. You're going to take, let's see. Where is it? Here it is. Would like each of you to make a body save, okay? Okay, so Svetlana, you missed yours. Snacks, you made yours. So Svetlana, you do gain a point of stress from missing your body save, okay? So you're going to take the full damage, and Snacks, you're going to take half damage. The damage is going to be 3d10. I'll roll that up. So 16. So Svetlana, you take 16 damage, and Snacks, you take 8.
Okay.
And you two thump down to the bottom. And in addition, it takes quite a long time for you guys to get down to them or bring them up to you. They've kind of fallen into a hole. a real dead end in this jungle. So you guys, you do get to the bottom of the cliff, but you don't get much farther that day. You don't even really make it back to the lake shore before you have to sort of call it a day and make camp in the jungle here. Okay. As you're going along, you find yourself continuing to really dwell on that loved one of yours. So what I want you each to make another sanity save for me. Look at all those lovely failures. So everybody gains a point of stress. In addition, all of you that are not Svetlana gain another point of stress because you see her really unraveling, dwelling on who was your loved one? Your sister, right? Vienna. Who missed it by the most? Let's see. It looks like Snacks. Or let's see, you missed it by 56. Yeah, you missed it by the most. So Snacks, I want you to go ahead. It's your turn. Tell me about who you're thinking about. Who is it you love, care about? Who is it you're drawn to? What is it about them that draws you to them? And maybe what is it that hurts? What is it that they could do or have done that hurts you, would hurt you the most, or has hurt you the most?
I think it's like a, not quite childhood friend, but like a friend of mine from before I joined on to come out here. And I think before I joined any type of military, like me and this best friend of mine were kind of not like gang members or anything, but we were just hoodlums, run around trying to do what we could to make some easy money. And I think he's the one that talked me into joining on and maybe trying to do something better with my life. 'Cause he kind of recognized like I wasn't out there like winning fights or anything. I was just I was the brains of the operation, but we didn't even really need brains to the operation. It was just, who are we stealing from today? Who are we fighting tomorrow? And so he kind of talked me into joining up in this whole military thing and doing something better with my life.
What's his name?
His name is Fyodor.
Fyodor. Does that sound right? Okay.
Yeah.
And what quality or trait is most captivating about Fyodor to you? What draws you to him? Why do you like him so much?
I think he would never give up. No matter what happened, he was always kind of positive about it, but in a way that he would just get back on the horse and keep going and do whatever he had to do to just get what he needed.
And what is it he's done or could do to you that would hurt the most?
What could he do? Or actually, yeah, maybe something he has done is, I probably didn't really want to go. I didn't want to leave him and that whole life we had. I think he threatened, he was going to kind of like blackmail me. Let everybody know that I was into this. I was kind of more or less a criminal, that I had a background. And so he gave me the option of either go and do something better with your life, or I'm going to kind of out you and tell everybody what you're really into.
Okay. So when you and Svetlana go for your tumble down into this mucky, overgrown, muddy mess, down in this jungle, and you hear Fyodor. You hear his voice, and he says, would he call you Snacks or would he call you Anatoly or something else?
I think he'd probably call me Snacks. I
Okay.
think that's probably, he's the one that probably gave me the nickname.
He says, Snacks, come here. Come here. I got something good. Come on. Come here.
I guess I would head toward the voice.
Of course. And Svetlana, you see Snacks on his hands and knees crawling through this, this mud. And as he crawls, he's sinking into the mud. There's a section of the mud. It's a quagmire. It's just, who knows how deep it is. And he's just kind of like head first climbing into this quagmire. What do you do?
Svetlana is... Am I close enough to grab on to a foot, maybe? I think
yeah.
Svetlana is going to reach one hand to grab Snacks and maybe reach her other hand to something stable nearby if there's a bush or anything like that that she can grab onto. And she's going to, say Snacks' name, try to get him out of the daze that he seems to be in.
So Snacks, for you, you continue to hear Fyodor's voice, but it's kind of fading, and you hear it replaced by Svetlana's voice, trying to draw you, back. You don't want to go back, but you do eventually, but you resist. How do you resist her at first, at least?
I think, I'm kind of kicking at her, just even absentmindedly, like thinking, maybe I just caught my foot on something. I've just kind of, just everything is gone, like I'm not even paying attention to anybody around me at all. So I think it's just physical, I'm just kicking my feet, trying to get free from her.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And like I said, eventually the others get to you or you get to them and you guys make some progress, but this whole incident really wipes out a lot of your time on the day. You eventually get to camp. You get set up, and I'm going to do similar to before. We're down to 2 people for bringing up something around the fire. So let's see, D2, 1. So who was left? Was it Snacks and Svetlana? Is that right? So I think Snacks, it's going to be your turn. So think about that, about what you're going to bring up around the fire. We're going to go ahead and, you're going to rest. You set up your tents as best as you can in this mucky, overgrown jungle. You find a halfway decent clearing, halfway dry. You set up your gear. You make a fire with this weird red wood. And some people did suffer some damage on this day. So if you have a medical skill, first aid or better, you can use that to help them heal better during the night. This is also a good time to remind you, you don't have to use them, of course, but just remind you, you each have a pill. And I think Svetlana has a good stash of them I think it's called Automed, which allows you to roll with a +10, I think, or something on these saves at night. So if it comes a point where you really want to get a good chance of healing, you might want to pop a pill, but you don't need to. So anyways, does anybody have a medical skill and want to try to help, someone heal better during the night? I think, Svetlana, you must have first aid, right?
I have the skill. I might approach Snacks and see if he needs to be patched up at all. And offer pills and stuff to everybody if needed.
Does anybody want to take a pill to help rest better on this night? Or go straight? Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds like no pills.
I don't think I need any pills, but I do want some first aid if you have something to offer.
All right. So when we roll the body save, Snacks is going to roll with advantage. And then does Vadim, do you want to use your theology on this night to help someone regain stress or lose stress, I guess? And Svetlana, do you want to use your psychology to help, calm someone? Start with Vadim. Do you want to use your theology on this evening?
Yeah, I mean, I think maybe I'll continue. I mean, especially after the fall. I mean, I think I would, certainly be wanting to make sure that Snacks is physically as well as mentally kind of holding himself together.
Okay. What do you say to him?
I will, let him know that that things are still looking okay for us. I mean, this was obviously a rougher day, but we're still hanging together, and we are obviously making some progress towards that ship, and the thing about the ship is it looks like it's there obviously parts of the ship that are intact, so that there is hope that we can kind of get something scavenged from that ship. And I'll also kind of let Snacks know that last night I had a vision, and the vision was partly a warning, but I also just feel like the very fact that I was able to kind of get a vision is still kind of giving me hope that there's a force that's watching out for us.
And is Snack still feeling the theology?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. And Svetlana, who do you want to try to calm with your psychology?
I think Svetlana will approach Creel again and try to talk to him about just how he's feeling as we approach the ship, and see if there's anything from the commissar's perspective that maybe the rest of us are missing as we get close to the ship. Just kind of trying to engage and see where he's at.
Okay. And Creel, do you respond to her comforting? Josh?
Yeah, probably not, honestly. But I feel like you might play along with it.
Okay. So I'll give you an option. You could continue a conversation that might help you then, or you can just leave it there.
Yeah, it's all right. I think I
Okay.
feel comfortable.
Okay. So let's roll up those resting rolls. So let's take care of the body save. So Lana and Snacks are injured, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you're going to make a body save, but Robert, you're going to make yours at advantage. No, you don't make it at advantage. You add the first aid bonus. So the first aid is +10. So you're going to roll body save, but at +10. I don't know if is there a way to do that on your sheet? Probably not.
No, but my first roll was way over anyway, so I don't think it mattered.
Okay. Yeah, you missed them both anyways. Or did you? Yeah, you missed them both. Okay.
Yeah, my first one was
you don't heal
miss.
at all, and you miss your body save, so you gain a point of stress. So you're injured. You wake up, your injuries have not really healed, and that upsets you. And Svetlana, you missed yours too. Same deal. You gain a point of stress because you don't heal at all. Now, those of you that are trying to reduce stress, go ahead and make your what did I say? Fear saves. And those of you that got, I guess only Snacks got comforted, so you're going to make yours at advantage. Although, I guess I should be consistent. Instead of rolling at advantage, roll it with the theology bonus, which is plus 15. You got me, Robert? So just roll once, but we'll just know that you actually got 15 better. And you got a critical success. That's beautiful. And that's the best possible roll, 00. All right, let me read this. So we got a critical success for Snacks. Kirill got a regular success, and you made it by 32. So Kirill, you can lose 3 points of stress. You reduce your stress by 3. Svetlana, you made it, but you didn't make it by enough to reduce your stress. And Vadim, you get worse. You gain a point of stress. So the critical success, I think what we'll do is we'll say that you double what you would otherwise have gotten. So you would that roll would allow you to reduce it by we said you had that extra plus 15. So actually you were rolling 50 and you got a 0, so that's 50 less than what you needed. So that's 5. You can lose up to 10 points of stress. So something about the night is incredibly restful for you.
Cool. Yeah, that clears me down to 0.
Great. And I think what we'll do, we have we're going to pick up with Snacks bringing up something around the fire, but let's take a break. Let's go ahead and take 10 minutes. My clock says 9:38, so till 9:48. So I'll see you guys in 10.
Okay.
Sound good?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Robert, I checked the rules. I do think you're supposed to get advantage when someone calmed you with like first aid or psychology and stuff. Would you have rolled again on any of your rolls then? I don't think so.
I mean, no, because it was just the body save where I
Yeah,
did roll twice,
and you missed
but
them both. And
I
then you
missed
got,
them both anyway. So
and then on the stress roll, you got a critical success. So
yeah, so
you were
there's
gold.
no way I could have done better.
Exactly, yeah. But for the future, if I mess it up again, you guys remind me that you should roll at advantage when you use those skills. Okay, Josh, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so let's pick up. You guys had a little rougher day, as Lieutenant mentioned. You're in the middle of this jungle, and what do you bring up around the fire, Snacks?
Yeah, I think Snacks is kind of restless around the fire and, kind of just launches into this rant about, how, I used to wake up in the streets, not really even remembering what I did the night before, just knowing that, I somehow woke up, in an alley somewhere with a pocket full of money one day, and some days I wake up with nothing. And I always thought, this is the worst. I've hit rock bottom. It can never be worse than this. And here we are. It's worse. I miss the streets. This planet officially makes me miss waking up in an alley. I never thought it could be worse than that. And here we are.
Yeah, Svetlana is going to nod in agreement. uh, she's thinking about a nice martini, relaxing at home, and realizes now that we'll just have mod in our pockets instead of waking up with loose change or anything like that. And yeah, she's right there with you.
Yeah, at least on the streets, you know what to expect, right? Like here, where there's bugs, there's weird plants. Who knows what's in the water or not in the water? Who knows where anything is? But you don't even know what to expect here.
Yeah, my head is spinning. I feel like we have so many clues as to what's going on, and I can't even begin to piece them together.
Okay, that sounds real good. Then you rest, and to various degrees, you either recover, gain more stress. You wake up in the morning, and you continue on your way. A new day. This is your fourth day. And you remove an MRE and a liter of water, or a quarter liter, once again, depending on what kind of suit you're wearing. And you guys are going to navigate. Really, no choices here. You use your similar system. You don't have. It's a relatively short route. You hope to get back to the lake and then make your way to the supply ship. So, Svetlana, you're going to make that plus 10 roll on your intellect. You got it at advantage this time. And you got a success, so you're looking good. You guys are going along, and it's time for Kirill to tell us about your loved one, the person that you're drawn to, that you're fascinated by, that captivates you. Tell us about who that is for Kirill.
Yeah. I think that Kirill had there was another replicant who was who was being trained at the same time as Kirill, who was as idealistic as Kirill, and who maintained that idealism through the program when most of the replicants, had managed to become more disillusioned. And as they were both assigned to different places and have gone about their career and lost contact, I would say pretty solidly. Sometimes Kirill, thinks about that other idealistic commissar and like where they are in this galaxy.
And was it what was this other replicant's name?
What are names that we have not used? Nikolai.
Okay, that sounds real good. And was it Nikolai's idealism that drew to him, that captivates you about him, or something else?
I think Nikolai was also not a clone of an ethnic Russian. He was a replicant he was a replicant of a Kazakh,
Okay.
which made him very unusual in as being grown as a replicant. And there was a lot of, I think, tension among these perfect Russian specimens. But what is my guy's name? What Kirill just found him very charming.
Okay.
And I think they probably sort of grew their idealism together in a way.
Mm-hmm.
There definitely was also, I think there was a sexual, relationship between them, but probably not in an open one.
Okay. In this, in the replicant society, is it frowned upon homosexuality, or is it, what's the replicant's view on that, would you say?
I think that the strict replicant byline is probably against all sort of procreative, I think replicants probably, as a general rule, don't really engage in relationships because they themselves were, that grown.
Right. And similarly to everyone else, what could or has Nikolai done that would hurt or has hurt you the most?
Yeah, I think what would hurt Kirill the most is if Nikolai had defected.
He lost his idealism and became
his
part of the system.
And either become part of the system or even worse, had become corporate.
Oh, okay. That's good, because I like your person kind of captures. There was a tension you had with the chief commissioner, the chief commissar, because he was clearly saying that we should be corrupt and take advantage of the normals, and you kind of resisted that, didn't you? So that captured this idealism that is probably not common to replicants. The most of Nikolai defected. Okay, so each of you continues to dwell on this person that means so much to you throughout this day also. And I'd like you each to go ahead and make another sanity save for me. So let's see. So Svetlana, you made yours today. And Snacks, you missed yours, so you gain a point of stress. Kirill, you missed yours. You gain a point of stress. And Vadim, you missed yours. You gain a point of stress. Who missed it by the most? Let's see. Kirill by 59. It's close. Snacks by 57. So Kirill, you missed it by the most today. So you're dwelling on Nikolai today. And you guys are moving along through the jungle, making your way back to the river, or to the lake, rather. Let me get you on the maps. So this makes some more sense to you. So there you are. You're in the jungle. You're making your way, towards the lake. And one moment. Kirill, as I mentioned before, there's not just this river. There's all kinds of smaller waterways that kind of drain into the river. So you guys are moving along sort of a jungle stream, a splashing, rocky jungle stream that's making its way downwards to the lake. And, there's a part of the stream where there's kind of like a deep pool. And you guys are skirting around it. And you look down into the pool and you see, at first you think it's just your reflection, but you see the distinctive Kazakh features of Nikolai in the water, in this clear pool of this sort of eddy, in this river, in this stream, a still eddy, or is eddy the right word? A still pool. In this clear water, you see Nikolai looking up at you, and it's not a reflection. He's down in the water, in his uniform. It's not wet. He just looks like he's on the other side of on another side of a window, looking up at you, and he's gesturing for you to come to him. And the rest of you see Nikolai. You hear a loud splash, and you look over and you see Nikolai is down in the water. He's disappeared under the water down into this deep pool. What do you guys do? Not Nikolai, but Kirill.
Svetlana shouts his name first, just as an immediate reaction.
Sure.
Kirill. Where are you going?
He's under the water. He's submerged.
I think Vadim is also yelling, but Vadim is looking for some. I don't know, either if in the jungle there's like a branch or something that I can kind of use to kind of go, reach down in the water, for him to grab onto it.
Okay. Yeah, I think you can do that. The problem is Kirill doesn't seem to be grabbing onto it. I'll say that, I mentioned the water was kind of still here. So after it kind of settles, after that immediate sploosh, you can see him down in there, and he seems to be like moving deeper into the water. Like he's and he has this this hazard suit on, so it has an air supply. I think it lasts up to 20 minutes or an hour, I forget. But he can be under there. He's not going, in his suit, he's not going to die. But he doesn't. You see the branches right near him. You kind of nudge him with it, and he's just not even. It seems like he's like moving along, not hesitantly, but sort of like in Kirill, in your mind, you're just following Nikolai as he walks along on the bottom of this riverbank, or this stream. What do you do to draw his attention or get him to come out?
Svetlana has the same suit and has already spent some time in the water, so I think she's at this point ready to jump in, try to catch up with him and shake him loose.
Okay. So you do, and he's not moving very quickly. He doesn't even seem to recognize, react to you approaching him. And you grab him and you go to kind of pull him out, and he strikes out at you before he finally snaps out of it. So, Kirill, I want you to do you have a hand-to-hand weapon, Kirill? Do you have like a vibachete or a stun baton or anything like that? Or just
I do have a stun baton, yeah.
okay. So you're going to strike out at Svetlana before you snap out of this. So you're going to make a combat check
All right.
with your stun baton.
And I assume military training does apply to that.
Yes.
Okay.
Critical success. All right. All right. So what we're going to do, we're going to go to the Mothership rules summary. Towards the front, there's all the weapons. Let's see. Each weapon under crit, it's one of the columns. It lists what happens on a crit. So for the stun baton, there is no save. So usually when someone gets hit by a stun baton, they're stunned for a round if they miss a body save, but you don't even get that save because of the crit, and you do take 1d10 damage. So Kirill, I want you to roll 1d10. So you just put /R space 1d10 for how much damage you do to Svetlana. 7. You do get an armor save to try to reduce this by half, Svetlana. So you're going to make an armor save. And you succeeded. So you only take 3 points of damage. So Kirill spins, and you see this look of rage in his face on his mask. He's got this, I don't know, like I think I described it, sort of like a CDC suit mixed with a still suit. So you can see, like, it's got this plasticky, thick, hard plastic that it's probably soft though, like it's a soft suit. And you see his face, and he's got this rage, and he jabs you with a stun baton, and you feel that jolt of electricity course right through you. You kind of float to the top. You guys see, Svetlana float to the top, and Kirill finally comes lumbering out, and you're probably you're shooken by what you saw, but you also are probably shooken by what you did, right? And you guys are able to sort of fish them both out of the water. You don't suffer any permanent damage because of the stun, but that's what happens there. So you guys continue on your way, and you do reach the lake. Make sure. Okay. You reach the lake. And actually, I'm going to move you to a new map here. Oh, there's the supply ship. It's still kind of in the distance, but you should be able to. You can tell already that you should be able to reach it on this day. You made good progress. The map I want is this one. Okay. There we go. Okay. So you guys are down here. You come out of the forest along the lake shore, and up to the north here, as you can see where that little rectangle represents the supply ship. And you come out at what appears to be a very bare bones sort of camp. The camp beside the lake there's a collapsed tent, like a tent that's fallen down. There are scattered empty food and water packages laying about this little camp. There's a small fire pit, long burned out, probably soaked from rain and the jungle rain. There are quite a few bloody bandages lying around in this camp. There leaning near the fire pit, leaning against probably like a rock or something. There's a dead woman in a pilot's uniform. You guys would all recognize a pilot's uniform from the UPP Space Forces. You see that she has bandages around her legs, which seem to be very obviously badly broken. Compound. What's it called when you break a leg, but the bone comes right out of the skin? That's what she suffered. I forget what it's called, but it's nasty. But more worrying for her is the fact that she has a revolver sitting next to her, kind of like fallen out of near her hand, and she clearly has shot herself in the head. She killed herself. She's dead, and that's what you see in this camp. You come out of the jungle, and you all need to make a sanity save for me. Another one. Okay, so let's see. Svetlana made it. Everybody else failed. So you gain a point of stress from failing, but since Svetlana made it, you don't get that extra point, so that's good news. Those of you that missed it, when you come out of the forest, you all see your loved one, whether it's Nikolai or Lata or Fyodor. You see them all waiting, in whatever, whether it's a uniform or whatever the classic thing you would imagine them wearing. They're waiting in the water out, like you come out and the camp's in front of you, and beyond the camp is where the water is. And you see them kind of like waiting, sort of like aimlessly. And they just walk, you all witness them walking into the water. And you see them kind of swimming around and bobbing their heads. And it's this persistent vision you have of these people in the water now. And it's incredibly distracting, even if, whether you believe it or not, it's incredibly distracting. So from this point forward, all three of you are going to make any speed rolls at disadvantage. Okay. So I'll make a note of that also, but keep that in mind. So that's Snacks, Vadim, and Kirill. Speed rolls at disadvantage because of this distraction of these visions of these loved ones in the water. What do you guys do when you come out of the forest, out of the jungle?
And we think that, seeing these figures, we think that they're real.
You tell me. You tell me. It doesn't make any sense. You cannot that's why your sanity,
Yeah.
It doesn't make any real sense, right? You're not insane to the point where, like, you think it's really them, because it doesn't make. You can try talking to them or something, maybe. Mm-hmm. It's kind of up to you how you want to read that. It's very upsetting and very distracting, though, for sure.
I think maybe what Vadim might do is, I know I had taken I had some pain pills, which heal damage, but it also, I know, heals stress. I think, Vadim is shaking his head, And I think he does this as much as possible on the sly, but I think he's going to pop a pain pill.
Okay.
See if that will.
Sure. Let's see. Pain pill. Did I put it on your sheet?
Well, I just have when
Oh,
ingested,
yeah.
heals 1d10 of damage, which I don't have, but it says it lowers stress by 1.
Yep. So yeah, go ahead and reduce your stress by 1. So yeah, that kind of takes the edge off of the shock of seeing this. You feel like you can like deal, even though on your, I don't know, do you avert your gaze from this vision of your friend, of your girlfriend?
Yeah, I do, because I it doesn't make sense. And I think what Vadim does after taking that pill is I think he starts scavenging around the camp just to see if there's any any food, any water, or any other things of use that would be in the camp.
Sure. Okay. We'll come back to that and make a roll here in a minute. What do you other guys want to do as you enter the lake shore at this camp?
I think Svetlana would approach the dead pilot and maybe grimly note that she doesn't need her med scanner to see
Yeah.
apparent suicide. But she would maybe be checking the pockets, or like Vadima's doing, just kind of seeing what we might be able to scavenge from the body or around it.
Sure. Okay. We'll come back to you too. Kirill and Snacks, what are you guys doing?
Is there enough time in the day left to get to the supply ship and back?
You should be able to get there in the later afternoon, which will give you time to, do what you need to do there, hopefully. And then, move a little bit farther and make a camp. That's your best estimate.
All right. And in the boat, would that be quicker?
Yeah, that would probably give you an extra hour or two. Sure.
All right. In that case, I think Kirill starts setting up the raft.
Okay. And Snacks, do you have anything in particular you want to do?
Not really. I mean, I think I would just kind of be like sort of at the waterline, maybe even like throwing rocks in to try to like figure out if there's actually people out there.
Sure. Okay. So, it's very clear to you, Snacks, like your rocks hit where these people are and they don't register. It doesn't bounce off them. It just passes through them. So it's clear that it's some sort of illusion or hallucination. It's really above your pay grade to have any idea what the hell is going on. But as far as you can tell, it's not real. The setting up the boat, that works just fine. Kirill, you do see that, getting up against the shore, there is a trail of footprints that lead from that camp to sort of the kind of landing that you've chosen to sort of launch your boat. And you see the footsteps walk directly at a steady pace, a walking pace, right into the water. And at the edge of the water, maybe there's a little bit of maybe 5 or 10 feet away from the lake, there's a splash. Well, let me put it this way: the footprints walk directly towards the water, and they get to about 5 feet away from the water, and there's sort of a pool of blood mixed with some like groundwater lying there where the footprints stop. And seeing this, you gain a point of stress. In fact, everybody gain a point of stress from seeing the dead body. And you don't gain an additional stress, Kirill, but everybody just gain a point of stress at seeing this scary stuff. the dead body stuff and the blood.
All right.
Um, Svetlana checking the body. You see that this woman has on her flight suit, it says, UPP supply ship, Epsilon, we'll call it. So it registers that she was a crew member of the supply ship that you guys are moving towards. That's clear. You see that her legs have been shattered. That's obvious. And there's, like I said, there's a revolver next to her that's down a bullet, but otherwise is full. If you need a revolver with 7 bullets, you can grab that if you want. Otherwise, in her pockets, there's nothing of much value. Was there anything else you're doing I might have forgotten?
No, that's it.
Okay.
I do have a revolver already, but I will empty the ammo and
take 7 bullets. So yeah, just add 7 ammo to your, what did I call it, total shots or whatever. And that brings us back to Vadim. And Vadim, you can indeed scavenge. So what you're going to do is you're going to make a speed roll, you have scavenging, right? And so you'll add, was it +10 for that?
Yes.
And so you're going to make a speed roll at +10, but because you're distracted by this vision of Leta, remember your speed rolls are at disadvantage. So you're going to roll twice at +10, but take the worst result. So failure and failure. Okay. So unfortunately, other than just, food and water, refuse, you don't find anything useful. Okay, you guys have checked out this area pretty thoroughly. Kirill has gone ahead and set up the raft. Do you guys want to jump on and paddle your way to the ship, or what do you want to do next?
In terms of the setup, is it possible for some to go on the boat and some to just walk along the shoreline?
Sure.
But the boat is quicker, is that right? That the boat speeds.
Yeah. The people on the boat would either be going slowly on purpose to stay in line with the people on shore, or they would get there first.
Mm-hmm. And if we go the shore route, is the ship kind of? How far from the shore is
it's enough about these ships that you can see that the way it's lying in the water, and let me get back to that picture to help give you an image. You can it's not too far from the shore. You would have to wade out to it, but you were guessing that at least getting the shore is kind of over here. Mm-hmm. Are you guys on the same picture as me?
Yeah.
Okay. So the shore is kind of over here. So you would be wading out to the front part of the ship where the bridge is. And you're too far away to tell much more at this point. But the way it's lying in the water, you can tell that, it's only partially submerged. At least the front part of the ship, you estimate you probably could wade out without going underwater.
Mm-hmm.
Does that answer what you're thinking? Okay. So yeah, back to the question: do you take the boat? Do you walk on the shore? Or do you want to do a little bit of column A, a little bit of column B?
I think Svetlana is game to take the raft. Just having the hazard suit and knowing that there's a little bit of protection there, if worst case.
Yeah, and Svetlana and Kirill has a hazard suit too. Is that right?
Yes.
Yes.
Well, what I'm thinking is that maybe the two of you with your hazard suits take the raft, and Snacks and I kind of follow along on the shore I think also if we go with that plan, I'll have my my gun, ready in case something untoward happens out on the lake.
Sure. Everybody like that plan? Does that sound like what you're doing? Okay. So, Kirill and Svetlana jump in the raft and they start paddling along. And I assume you're not going too far from the shore. You're hugging the shore more or less as you follow. Are you going ahead of these guys, or are you going to kind of like pace yourself to stay in line with the guys on the shore?
Kirill is going to go ahead, I think.
Okay. Svetlana, you cool with that as you see Kirill paddling along at a steady pace?
I don't know that she's 100% sure. She's maybe just going to kind of watch behind them to try to keep them in sight, but she's not going to argue against it.
Okay, sure. And so you guys on the shore start trudging along, and these other guys are paddling, at a steady pace. They stay in vision, but you can tell that they're moving ahead of you as you move towards the boat. Unless you tell me otherwise, they're going to reach the boat with you. We will say you're a good 10-minute walk behind them, okay? So you're lagging about 10 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And let me get you to another map. Okay. So this is the supply ship. And the bow is up here, or the front of the ship is up here, and the back of the ship's back here. So you guys are approaching from this way in your raft, and eventually Snacks and Vadim are going to be walking out into the water over here somewhere. And you can see that the windows in the front where the bridge is are smashed out from the crash, presumably. It has a lot of, damage to the outside of the ship. The lock or the door is open. Okay. It's not damaged. It's not blown out, but somebody has opened the door and left it open so you can get in that way. There also is a large, there's actually a series of holes back here with, like they're puncture holes. Like, I think you guys would all, you probably would all be familiar enough. It looks like a missile exploded outside the ship. And what a missile does, the way the missile is designed, a surface-to-air missile or an air-to-air missile for that matter, they're designed to explode near but outside of a ship and throw shrapnel to create massive damage to the ship that they're trying to destroy. And that looks like what's happened here. So there's all kinds of little holes, puncture holes, where the shrapnel is blasted through the hull, and one large hole that you probably could climb through. If you were careful, you probably wouldn't get yourself cut on all the jagged metal. So you guys are, let me see, I actually might have little tokens for you guys. We'll use this for now for you guys. So you guys are like about here, okay? So like I said, you're ahead of the other two by about 10 minutes. Kirill, you've kind of been taking the lead on this little raft expedition. So you tell me, where are you steering your raft towards? You can actually drag that little token if you want.
So I think that probably before, as they are approaching the downed ship, I think Kirill looks at Svetlana and he says, "You scan it, see if anything is still alive inside."
Okay.
Yeah.
Svetlana, Yeah, go ahead and make a what did I have you do? Intellect check at advantage using I think biology would be a good fit here. Tell me what you get because I'm looking at another page.
2 success.
2 success. Okay. So similarly to what you found when you were up on the water, above the water, above the on the cliff, the lake itself and the surround. Actually, this I should have mentioned earlier. It's extremely quiet here. It reminds you a lot of that jungle pool you first came across after you crashed. So it's extremely quiet here. There's very few birds flying over. If there are any insects, they're very tiny. So your bioscanner is reflecting that there are no living creatures of any sizable living creatures in the water or on the shore. There are life forms inside the ship. In the cargo bay, there are. Ooh, you can't quite read. It's does it say if it? I think it said something about whether or not metals block it or not. I think it said they don't, right?
Yes, it goes through metals.
Yeah. Okay, so you probably get a pretty clean read then. Let's say there's you pick up there's about 10 living creatures inside the cargo bay, sort of spaced at different spots throughout this cargo bay. There are 10 living creatures.
So Svetlana's going to see similar readings for the most part, but look at Kirill and say that there is some signs of life in the cargo bay. Many signs of life, actually. And she'll maybe ask if we should try to enter somewhere else or go check out the cargo bay, or Svetlana's still kind of trying to pay attention to where the others are too.
Yeah, you can kind of nervously look over there and you see they're trudging along. They're in eyesight. They have to kind of get through the undergrowth and whatnot, and the mud. So they're coming along though, but they're still a good 8 or 9 minutes away. So Kirill, looks like Svetlana's looking to you to tell her where you're going next or what you're doing. Josh, are you there?
Yes, sorry.
Okay.
I think Kirill is going to direct the raft to the opening in the engine room.
Okay. Sounds good. So you guys paddle over there. So the ship, you can see that now that you're close to it, that the ship is sort of tilted a little bit, like the front of the ship is sort of tilted up and it's sort of settled in the back. So this back area is more underwater than the front part of the ship. Also, the water here looks deeper. 40, 50 meters. How long did I say the ship is here? 80 meters long. So this far back, the water's deeper. And you looking through this hole, you can see that most of the engine room, or the back part of the engine room, has been flooded. There are, let's see. You see that there's a lot of damage here from the explosions and the crash, but you do see that there are several fuel cells that still have like a green light or something that shows that they're intact. The actual engines themselves probably aren't going to work, but you can tell that there are fuel cells. They're sort of the power supply that these ships use. A power cell like this, is, when it's in a when it's in place in a ship correctly, it's fairly safe, but it's certainly something that could explode or be overloaded if need be.
Okay.
And as you can see, sorry, go ahead.
No, please, is there more stuff in the
I was just going to say there's a door which is closed that leads, into the cargo bay.
Okay. Yeah, so Kirill has stepped off of the raft. It is up to Svetlana if she will follow.
Okay.
Yeah, Svetlana's gonna disembark and draw her revolver just so that's ready.
Okay.
Yeah. And Kirill has his flamethrower out.
Okay.
He does not want to take chances.
Okay.
And I think once he and Svetlana have sort of placed themselves on either side of the door, he is going to breach it.
Okay. The door into the cargo area?
Yeah.
Okay. And I'll assume you probably like throw a rope over to like keep the raft, there by the hole, so it doesn't float away. All right. So you guys breach this door and look into the cargo area. As you board the ship, I'd like you to make another sanity save for me. The two of you, Svetlana and Kirill. Okay. All right. So, Svetlana, you gain 1 stress. Kirill, you're going to gain a stress, and probably something else. We'll get back to that in a minute. So when you board the ship, yeah. So okay, yeah, I know what we're going to do. All right. So you feel well, let me tell you what you see. So you open the door and you look into the cargo area. And there are it's fairly wide open. There are rows of cryo beds that are standing cryo beds that are lining the walls, and then some of them are still kind of like rows in the middle, going from front to back. Yeah. So there originally probably were maybe up to 100 of these cryo beds, and a lot of them have been destroyed in the crash. A lot of other ones have caught on fire or had some sort of electrical fire or something, and the bodies inside are all fried and crispy. And you see other bodies that have just been mangled and destroyed by the crash and by what happened in this cryo, or the jostling's not the right word. The being thrown all over and the tanks being smashed apart. So there's some really horrible stuff in here. So you both gain immediately. Let me get to the right spot. You both gain a point of stress seeing these bodies mangled or burned to death. There are other beds that are intact, but that are open and empty. There are other beds, 10, because your reading showed 10. There are other beds that are still working that show 10 people in cryo sleep. And you can tell by the green lights on the screen on the readout that these people are are alive, but asleep. As you enter one of these beds, you can see that it's, as you enter, you see that somebody like falls out of one of these beds, and they're in this guy, and you, now that you look at it, all of these people, whether dead or alive in these cryo beds, they're wearing these orange jumpsuits, kind of like prisoner jumpsuits, and they actually say on them Sorovsky Special Rehabilitation Camp. Kirill, you know automatically about Sorovsky Special Rehabilitation Camp. Does anybody have Rimwise? Anybody take that skill? I don't recall. Okay, so no one else would know, but Kirill, you know that the Sorovsky Special Rehabilitation Camp is a camp that the government tried to cover up. It was a camp that housed the most violent dissidents from all over the UPP space. These are people that rose up against the government, that were terrorists, counter-revolutionaries, and just psychopaths, a mixture of all of above. They rose up not too long ago. They rose up. They killed the psychologists and guards at the base, and they set up an anarchist council. They began to execute informers, and by the time the government sent in a team to bring the base under control, the prisoners had already killed half of the prisoners, half of the other, they had killed over half the prisoners. And supposedly, what you've heard is that the security forces that arrived killed the rest. So as far as you had heard, these people should have been and were all killed. But here you see, like I said, it sounds like there was about 50 of these guys on this ship. And like I said, when you enter, the door opens and this guy falls out. And Svetlana, you see Vienna. Vienna is sitting sort of like, well, you tell me. Let me put this on you. Svetlana, Vienna is sitting, you see on the map where there's the floor ripped away, that part where there's water. What happened there is that the floor was ripped away in the crash, so it's open to the lake underneath. So Vienna's sitting there beside, on the edge of this ripped out area, just sort of like calling to you, gesturing or calling to you to come to her. What does that look like? Or what does she say or do?
I think that she's kind of inviting Svetlana over to look in the water, as if Vienna's kind of sitting there investigating the water from where she's at. And she's just kind of like, hey, come here, look at this under the microscope kind of thing.
Okay.
And just kind of trying to pique her curiosity, I guess.
Okay. And you find yourself starting to walk towards her. Kirill, the guy that kind of fell out of the cryo bed, sort of crawls, stands, and kind of falls and crawls some more towards this water, just single-mindedly moving towards it. And it's Nikolai. It's Nikolai that's moving to this water. And he calls to you also. How does Nikolai call to you to go with him?
I don't think he has to. I think the second Kirill sees him, he starts to follow.
And Nikolai moves to the edge of the water and just tumbles in, just immediately without pause, tumbles in, and so do you. You run and jump right into the water and disappear under the surface. And I think that's a good time to stop for today. All right. Let me just see if there's any other little bits I need to cover. You guys that entered the ship, you are going to be, in addition, you already were disadvantaged on your speed rolls, but now in addition to being distracted, you're haunted. So you're going to be disadvantaged on all your rolls. Okay, so I'll make a note of that. Kirill, actually, Svetlana, that's you didn't miss the first roll, did you? So you're actually only going to be disadvantaged on speed rolls, okay? Because you only missed one of the 2 rolls you guys made since you reached the river or the lake. But Kirill, you missed them both, so you're going to be disadvantaged on all rolls. That actually is significant too, because you started to move towards the water, but you don't have to go into the water, Svetlana. Just if I forget that next time, be sure to remind me. And the other guys are about a 5-minute walk away as we end today. All right. And I think that covers kind of where we're at. So take a breath for a second. We're going to go around. We're going to do a little stars and wishes to kind of, like I said, not do it every session, but we'll do it today, and we'll do it again after the 4th session. So, and before I forget, is everyone comfortable having this go public on YouTube? Anyone not? All right, good. So for stars and wishes, I think maybe when it's your turn, if you're ready, go ahead and just do both when it's your turn, and we'll go around the table. So for me, a star is something you want to mention about another player, a moment in the game, or an element of the overall experience that you really enjoyed. And a wish is something that you would like to see more of or like to see done differently, or something that you think would improve the game. And that would include just giving me feedback. I'd love to hear it. If you got any sort of technical or stylistic pacing, any of that stuff, feel free to throw that in there too. So let me start with you, Josh. Are you ready? You got some stars and wishes for us?
Yes, I am. Stars to Robbie. I've really liked Vadim. I really like this like veteran character that you're playing here. I've just sort of liked seeing him dealing with the world that he has very unfortunately crashed in. And it's been interesting watching him play. Wishes, I feel like we sort of reached the second act of the horror movie, when things really start to go down, and I'm very excited to continue down that death spiral. I guess wishes, I hope that we will reunite as a group and be able to continue. I feel a little bit bad for separating the party, but I do think it is with what Kirill had been told by the Commissar General. I think it is probably what he would have done, and also it does mean that he's in a lot shittier of a position right now. So, looking forward to everyone getting back together and things continuing to go badly.
Okay, those all sound good. Robbie, what do you got? Stars and wishes.
Yeah, I mean, I like the the fireside chat where Kirill and Vadim were getting into it a little bit, and I mean, I actually am enjoying just the some of the tensions within the group. I mean, I like. I think that there are interesting dramatic possibilities with our party slightly separated right now, and with Kirill under this idea that right, he needs to perform something possibly without other party members knowing about it or agreeing to it. That I think that's a kind of interesting development, and I like the build up here. I think that this is kind of getting us to. We got a nice little cliffhanger going right now, so it will be interesting to see how things play out next time.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Robert, what do you got?
I mean, yeah, kind of going on those same lines. I really like the fireside chats. Like the stuff that I mean, I have a hard time bringing one out specifically, but actually it's not even really the fireside chats, but like Vadim constantly talking to Snacks. I kind of lump that in with the fireside stuff, but that constant like reassurance and like yeah, it's okay. There's everything is getting better, but then it's definitely not. But yeah, just the constant reassurance there is good. And then wishes. Yeah, I guess I'm interested to see what happens if we can get into some real combat. How that plays out. I'm interested to see how the combat plays out in this game.
Yep, we'll definitely see that next week. And Brad, what do you got?
I think my star, I do agree with everybody else that the chats and stuff have been cool, and all of the spotlight scenes have been really cool. I think that Kirill's both the voice and the way that Josh is embracing the party has helped me really get into the world and kind of the story behind what we're doing.
Yep.
And as far as wishes, I think one of the unique takes that you did for us was the traits, and I think it's cool that we're all at opposite ends of those spectrums. And I know for my part, I'd kind of like to try to play into that a little bit more. Kind of what Robbie was alluding to, where he and Josh were disagreeing a little bit over the chat. I think that those moments are pretty interesting in this kind of setting.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it's playing out really well. Stars wise, you guys all now you're all distinct images in my head. You're all, you all are like, I can visualize each of you, and you're distinct from each other, which is wonderful. To be at that point after a couple sessions, that's great. And you're all leaning into the story elements that I've kind of bolted onto Mothership. Mothership is not a story game. This is a dice rolling, old school OSR game. If you look at the rules, there's no story aspects to it at all. And I put them in because I do like having a story that has like a line, a narrative. And I didn't need to, but it does seem to you each have kind of grasped onto the little bits and pieces that I've kind of given you to build your characters around. Let me ask you this. One of my goals in doing this is to not just have a sci-fi story, but to kind of have a bit of that Soviet Stalinist kind of feel. As much as you are aware of what that means, do you feel any of that in the game? Do you feel any of the Soviet Union, Russian kind of World War II kind of feel? Anybody?
I mean, I think so, especially with our individual flashback scenes, and also, I mean, kind of seeing how, I mean, not really seeing, but how each of us are playing through those like flashback scenes of those individual conversations. I think those have driven it home.
Yeah, and your big stars to each of you with your loved one, your figure, the person that you care about and love. Each of those is really vivid too, and it's easy for me to then create these sort of visions / hallucinations, whatever they may be, of them. Wishes wise for me, let me ask, where's each of your stress at this point? How much stress are you each at? Because that's one thing, like balancing, like gaining and losing stress. That's always a hard thing to know how to pace that.
I'm at
How
8
many?
right now.
8. Okay.
I went from 0 to 8 in this session.
Okay. I know.
I am at 7 currently.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'm at 3, but I did have that critical
Right, yeah,
success
that
that
great-
completely wiped me down from like 9 to 0.
Okay, that's pretty good then. That's actually, I'm pretty happy with that, because at this point I wanted you guys to be stressed. I didn't want you to be at 0, but I didn't want you to be like about to die either. So we'll see more next session how that works, because we're going to go from having stress to actually having to make what's called panic rolls and see if you guys actually panic, which is a fun little mechanic they have in this game too. So I'll be excited to see that. Let me go back again, realizing I'm sort of going to retcon our ending a little bit. So because Svetlana had not missed both rolls, she only missed one. She can grab Kirill before he jumps in the water. So we're going to have Kirill seeing Nikolai go into the water, and he's going to start making his way directly that way also. But we're going to leave Svetlana with an opportunity to kind of pull him back from the edge, so to speak. Okay, so that's the image in your mind when we start up next week. All right. Any thoughts, questions, anything else you guys want to throw in before we call it a day? All right. Well, thanks, guys. It was a lot of fun. I will see you next week.
Okay.
Thank you.
Cool.
Bye-bye.
See ya.
Thanks. Good game. Thanks.